I was asked how to adjust a truss rod on an acoustic guitar. Well, the person who wants to know this information is located on the other side of the world, so I thought I would just do a quick video, and maybe a couple people might want to watch this anyway. So the first thing you want to do before attacking the truss rod is make sure that it actually needs to be adjusted. And the way you do that is to look at the amount of relief or curvature in the neck of the guitar. There's always going to be just the slightest upward bow as you go toward the peg head, but you don't want it to be very much. So what you're going to want to do is put one finger at the first fret. Usually using the bass string is easiest, just because it's closest to you. And then you put another finger at the 12th fret. And then look at the gap about halfway between those two fingers. So at the 5th or 6th fret, you should see a gap between the bottom of the string and the top of the fret of about a 64th of an inch, which, if you don't have a good ruler, works out to be about 2 business cards. So not very much of a gap. This one definitely has more of a gap than that, and so the truss rod needs to be tightened, and that'll make this upward slope decrease, because as you tighten the truss rod, it pushes the peg head end down. And that's true if the truss rod adjustment is at the peg head or if it's through the sound hole. Either way, as you tighten the truss rod, the amount of bow in the neck is diminished. So there are 2 common kinds of fittings. One is an Allen wrench sort of fitting on the truss rod. The other one is a hex nut. So you have to figure out which one of those you have and have the right tool handy. So on this particular guitar, it's an Allen wrench fitting, which I am quite confident won't show up in there. But anyway, I know it's an Allen wrench. So you put your wrench in and give a bit of a turn. I usually go about a quarter of a turn. But this guitar, I loosened the truss rod just for demonstration purposes, so I know it's going to take more than a quarter of a turn to tighten it back up. But what you do is give it a little bit of a turn and then go back and do that same check again at the 1st fret and the 12th fret and see where you are halfway between. And yes, I still have more to do here. So I will tighten the wrench, or I'll tighten the rod some more, and then check it again. And when it looks like my gap is about a 64th of an inch, then I know I'm good. So hopefully that's all you'll need to bring the action back down to where it's comfortable. If after doing the truss rod adjustment you still don't have the action you want, then you might have some bigger issues to deal with. Commonly on an older steel string guitar, the soundboard will start to distort a little bit due to years of string tension. If you run your hand across the guitar top behind the bridge, you might feel that your hand is going upward as you're passing right behind the bridge, and that tells you that the top is actually distorting. If it's not too bad of a problem, you may be able to get many more years of playability by shortening the saddle a little bit. So you take off the strings, pull out the saddle, and just sand it down on the bottom side, and then you can string it up again and hopefully buy some more time with the guitar. Sometimes another problem is the bridge will start lifting off the back of the guitar. If you see a little gap between the bottom of the bridge and the soundboard, you know that the bridge is starting to lift off, and you should get that glued back on before it gets to be a bigger problem. But as the bridge lifts off, the strings are actually raised up because the bridge is coming this way. So that can contribute to higher action. Then another thing that might be a problem, hopefully not, is the neck can start coming off the body of the guitar. So if you look along the heel and you see a little gap between the heel and the body, either on the side or on the bottom, then you know that the neck is starting to separate, that joint is loosening. And that's a much bigger repair to deal with. So again, as far as the truss rod goes, check the distance here, and then find the right fitting for your truss rod. And a clockwise turn is what it's going to take to tighten the truss rod. So there you go.